I found a mysterious box under our bed, and now my boyfriend's secret has me questioning everything. I, 24 female, met my boyfriend, who we'll call Wyatt, 24 male, at my old job. We were both college students and worked part-time at a coffee shop. That was 3 years ago, and we've been together and in a stable relationship since then. For reference, I am bisexual and he is pansexual. I'll admit, we're both very intimate people. We make love multiple times a week, especially now that we have an apartment together. We're pretty experimental in the bedroom, and if one of us wants to try something out, within reason, the other tries to provide a safe space for that, even if the other person isn't into it themselves. Wyatt and I have both experimented with cross-dressing in bed before, but myself more so than him, since he has pretty masculine facial features and he feels embarrassed whenever he wears anything feminine, because he feels like he doesn't make a convincing woman. I don't care, obviously, because I love him and thinks he looks good all the time, but it kind of deters him from doing it. So, the way I found out about this is through a multitude of factors. The first is that I noticed a box underneath our bed that Wyatt said is very private and that I shouldn't open. I respected that, people need some level of privacy, but I have to admit I was curious about what was inside. The second thing was that Wyatt started working out more. He's a pretty slim guy overall, but he started really trying to lose weight, along with eating less, to the point where it really got me worried. The third is that a few unmarked, nondescript packages were delivered to our apartment, and when I brought them inside he quickly snatched them from my hands and wouldn't tell me what was in them. So yeah. Weird. I finally sat him down and asked him about it earlier today. I was like, listen, I'm worried you might be going through something, I want to be there for you. He was quick to reassure me that he's fine, he's just hesitant to bring up the subject that connects all of these strange incidents. But then he brought out the box from under the bed, and started to explain. It was a mask of a woman's face. Or, more accurately, two masks. They were extremely realistic, and looked like they were made of silicone or some other kind of soft material. He explained that this was something new that he was getting into, but he wasn't sure how I would respond, so he felt like he had to keep it a secret from me. Wyatt explained that wearing the masks make his facial features look more smooth and feminine, so he's more able to pass as female when he cross-dresses. Apparently the mask gets glued onto his face with an adhesive, so he can make expressions with it on, eat, talk, etc. He explained that there were more silicone prosthetic devices you could buy to further make the look realistic, including a full-body silicone skin suit, which would give him a feminine chest, hips, and private parts. That's what he was losing weight for, to fit into one of them. This was a lot to take in. I asked if he'd feel comfortable putting on one of the masks for me, so I could see what they look like on him. He said it'll take him a bit to get fully transformed, but it was early in the day and I said I didn't mind waiting. When he came out, he had the mask glued to his face, he was wearing a realistic wig, and he was wearing a long dress with a visible stuffed chest. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit it, but he looked hot. He looked like some cute girl I'd see on the street, who I'd probably think was really pretty. As he walked closer I could kind of begin to see some of the imperfections in the disguise, the eye holes of the mask are visible, the expressions are a bit stiff and uncanny when he talks, etc., but he still looked really good. Really attractive even. I don't even begin to know how to process this. Where do we go from here? Is this weird? I mean, I know it's weird, but how weird exactly? I'm so confused and don't even know how to feel about this. I decided to surprise my bestie while my husband left for a work trip, only to uncover they'd been in a secret relationship for 4 years. So I, 38 female, and my husband, 40 male, have been together since I was 20, and he 22. We have one child together who is 17, male. I have known my best friend, 38 female, since we were 11. We'll call my bestie Sarah and my hubby Joe. Sarah and I don't get to see each other in the way that we used to, as about 6 years ago, she moved to a different province. She is roughly 3 hours away now. We text bi-daily at the least, and usually video chat 2 times a week with a glass of wine and weekly recaps. Suffice to say we are, or were, still very close despite the distance life has dealt us. Now, Joe travels a lot for work, and it's not uncommon for him to be gone for a week at a time here and there. He usually leaves on a Saturday or a Sunday and checks into his hotel so he is fresh-faced on Monday. He's always home on weekends. On this particular Wednesday, he said he was going to leave that Friday instead, as he had some prep work to do prior to Monday, and just wanted to allow himself enough time to do so without stressing this minute. I didn't think much of it and told him it makes sense. I looked forward to having the house to myself for the weekend as my son was going to his best friends to game for the weekend, as they often do. Friday rolls around, and my boy comes home from school, packs his things and heads out. All is good there. Joe's flight was at 8:40 p.m. so we still got to enjoy dinner together before he left for the airport. He kisses me, and leaves. The house is quiet, too quiet. I get some tidying done, have a relaxing bath, and tuck in with some Netflix. Life's good. I wake up Saturday, and tackle the day with some Christmas shopping and lunch. I arrive back home around 1 p.m. and get a load of laundry done. This brings me to about 3 p.m. It sounds silly, but as much as I was looking forward to being alone all weekend, I was bored and over it by this point, so I figured, hey, I'm gonna grab a bottle of wine and call Sarah up later for some girl time to help my evening go by a lot faster. In the same breath I realized, screw it. I have nobody to cook for or cater to tonight. I'm gonna surprise her in person with a bottle of wine. Into the car I go. I arrive in her area at around 7 p.m., all giddy and pumped up. I know she is going to be absolutely stunned and excited when she opens the door. Let the squeals ensue. Well, as I rounded the corner onto her block, I'm the one who is stunned. There is another car there. My husband's make and model. My heart just drops, but I tell myself there is just no way, and I actually feel guilty and silly for thinking it could be him. It is a common vehicle after all. As I pull up to the house, I can see now it is his car. I am sick. Beyond sick. I can't describe the sinking feeling I felt, as I can honestly say it's the first time I've ever had that feeling. I kept trying to justify an innocent reason for this and I came up empty-handed. Then the anger sets in. I walk up to the door and begin pounding in the way I imagine the police would do in dire urgency. I hear Sarah's footsteps approaching and a confused tone in her voice as I hear her say, I really don't know, I'm not expecting anybody. Our eyes meet as she peeks through the little decorative diamond-shaped glass of her front door. She says, as she heel spins to walk away but back again. I tell her to open the goddamn door. At this point my husband has heard me through the front door and I hear him groan and say something along the lines of, this can't be real. Did you tell her to come here? How did she know? Etc. She opens the door, and he acts as if I didn't just hear their exchange of words on the other side of the door. I demand to know what the heck this is. She is completely stunned and stands back with her hand over her mouth as he fumbles his words, and tells me he stopped there before leaving for his trip to plan a surprise New Year's party for me with Sarah. As if. I quickly tell him that's absolutely not true, and such thing can also be correlated via any other source of communication that does not include spending the night with my best friend. I look past them to see what looks to be the aftermath of a romantic dinner for two on her dining room table and a cozy blanket on her couch with 2 glasses on the coffee table. I am in tears at this point. He has the nerve to then accuse me of having looked through his messages and being the sneaky one. I am baffled. I tell him to get his crap and get out of there. He refuses, citing he still has to leave for his work trip the following day. I tell him absolutely not. Get your things and we are getting a room for the night to discuss this. He reluctantly agrees. He asks me to wait in the car for him, which I say no to. I begin to yell at Sarah as he scampers around collecting his wet knots. She is apologetic but tells me she hopes this is just a bump in our friendship, and we can work past this. What an absolute joke. This is not a bump, but an entire mountain that has been placed on and crushed any remnants of our friendship. Fast forward to finally getting to a hotel with space. My husband confesses, as if I needed a confession, to having been with her a few times in the past, but maintaining a long-distance relationship with Sarah for the past 4 years. 4 years? I am absolutely breathless. He subsequently cancels his work trip and ends up coming back home, where we spend most of the next day arguing before our son comes home that evening. We keep it hush around him, but he can definitely tell we are on the outs. This brings us to now. The following Friday. We have spent all week arguing, talking, crying, and just trying to figure out where to go from here. We always had a loving relationship. He says he just got bored but has developed deep feelings for Sarah and vice versa. He begs for forgiveness daily and has made a point to cut ties with Sarah to try and save our marriage, but my trust is non-existent, and my hurt-o-meter is redlined. I've been too ashamed to share this information with other friends, especially friends Sarah and I have in common. I left my boyfriend without warning because he's starting to scare me. I don't know if I'm overreacting. I don't know if I watch too many crime shows or if I'm just paranoid. Last week I made chicken gnocchi soup. When it was almost done I started helping my daughter with a school project. She got us both a bowl and a few seconds later, my boyfriend runs into the room with a bowl and tells me to eat the bowl he has. I told him it was all the same and he insisted that he wanted mine because it had more chicken. Thinking back now I don't know how he would know that considering my daughter dished it out. My daughter took the bowl he gave me and said she would eat it. He yanked it out of hand and said, "No, it's for Mom." I took the bowl and he went to the living room. I continued doing my daughter's project and told her not to eat the soup. 20-ish minutes later I walked into the kitchen to pour the soups out and he was still eating his. He asked why we didn't eat any and I said the cat got into it while we were waiting for it to cool down. He screamed, "What? Was it your bowl? Cats can't eat that?" I told him it was only a lick but he has been stressed out watching the cat like a hawk, obsessive even. His reaction was very weird. These accidents all happened before the soup incident over the span of 6 months. It wasn't one after another in a short period of time. Since then my emergency money has gone missing. I keep money hidden just in case. I lost my older sister because she wasn't able to escape a dangerous situation and I literally swore on her grave I would never be in that position. After the soup incident I went to get my money and it was gone. It was hidden and I changed the location every few months. I asked my daughter if maybe she found it and that if she took it I wouldn't be mad, because I knew she couldn't have spent it. She said no. A few hours later, she tells me she forgot, but the other day her and my boyfriend got pulled over and she saw my pink wallet in his glove box. I never told her which wallet it was in or that it was in a wallet. I decided to ask him if he found it by accident. He asked me why I was hiding a large amount of money. You know you could never leave me, and laughed. He has never said anything like that before. I told him it was for my daughter's Christmas. He said no, he didn't find the money, but he could use his credit card for gifts. I didn't tell him about my daughter seeing my wallet in his car. Now here are a few other things that have happened in the past few months that seemed random at the time, but now they don't. I have a severe allergy to latex. One day we were about to make love and I glanced at the mirror we have by our bed and saw the protection wrapper was a different color. I stopped him because it wasn't latex-free and he said it was a mistake and just an older one he had. We have been dating for over 2 years and he knows how serious my allergy is. My EpiPen that I keep in my room is missing and I didn't realize it. Note, I didn't realize it was missing until I was searching for my money. Another odd thing is one day he was following me down the stairs while I was carrying laundry and he kicked the back of my leg and I fell. He said he slipped but the stairs are wood and he was wearing his steel toe boots. At the time I thought it was an accident. Am I overthinking this? My anxiety has been at an all-time high. Do I watch too much true crime? Here is why I think I might be the jerk. We have a good relationship. He loves my daughter like she is his. We split all shared bills and we both pull our own weight around the apartment. We don't fight. He has never so much as raised his voice at me. We are paycheck to paycheck but bills are paid. I thought about going to my mom's house for a few days and asking him when I get there when I'm safe about the money, but I don't have money to do that now. She is on a fixed income and can't help. I feel stupid for being scared. Last night I decided to check his car for my wallet and he caught me. I asked him for my money back and he tried playing dumb. I told him my daughter saw it there. He told me she was lying. I told him I never told her about the money or what wallet. He said he was a grown man and kids lie all the time. I asked him once more for my money and he said, I'm not giving you money to leave me. I waited until he was in the shower to grab my cat and my daughter and we left. I can't take my cat with us to a shelter and the DV shelters are full. I was able to get us a night at a cheap motel. This exact situation is why I had money saved. I did everything right and now I'm screwed. I feel like I just blew up my entire life. My boyfriend traumatized his ex, is now creeping on her, and I just now am figuring it all out. My 26 boyfriend, Levi, 27, and I have been dating around 4 years now. To make a very long story short, Levi's college girlfriend was named Lana, 25. Between him and a group of friends of his that liked to make fun of Lana, I gathered that Lana had a mental breakdown and gained a lot of weight rapidly, the combination of that and other things leading to their breakup after 9 months. Levi's friend Nate, 27, is still friends with Lana, and recently shared with Levi that Lana had a major glow-up and is doing really well now. Since then, Levi has been stalking Lana's social medias on a fake account. This includes LinkedIn and Instagram. I got very weirded out by the whole thing, and confronted Levi. He told me that he was just really proud of her, and seeing someone turn their life around so much was inspiring. I don't believe that, but whatever. If I pushed more, he'd get angry and leave me alone to play video games. I thought on it, and really wanted to figure out more about what happened between him and Lana. It just didn't make sense, and I had a feeling there was something bigger at play. I decided to contact Nate and ask him more about what was going on. I called him one day when I knew Levi would be out for a while. Nate was surprised to hear from me, but I explained the situation and he kind of just was quiet for a bit. After a bit, he told me that Lana is one of the best people he knows, and they're good friends who talk often, but she has barred him from ever discussing Levi with her, so he truly didn't know much. He said he knew that she would have panic attacks for the first few years if she heard his name or thought she saw him in public. Again, she wouldn't tell him why though. He said she essentially told him to continue him and Levi's friendship, but to never bring him up with her. The only reasoning she would give at the time was because she didn't want Levi to place blame on her if he lost friends. So for around 2 years, Nate has not talked about Levi with Lana. He said he deeply regretted bringing Lana up to Levi. This conversation obviously rattled me, and I told Levi this made me want to know even more, but I didn't want to harm Lana. He agreed because if Levi was stalking Lana, he wanted to know if he needed to warn her. He agreed to ask around with some other friends and he'd get back to me. Those next few days were incredibly challenging. I noticed more and more how much Levi was sitting around looking at Lana's pages when he thought I wasn't noticing. He was viewing her stories, her Insta highlights, going back and liking old pictures, etc. all from his fake account. I even noticed that he went back in his camera roll to times of their relationship and favorites the pictures. He was getting agitated with me constantly, and kept making passive-aggressive comments to me. Maybe you could go to the gym with me. You're about due for a glow-up too. I think you'd look really cute with blonde hair. All things that coincidentally could have made me look more like Lana. I ignored it the best I could, until Nate asked me to meet him privately in public. We decided to meet at a coffee shop the next day while Levi was at work. When I saw Nate, he looked like a mess. He was very clearly distressed and told me that he would officially be ending his friendship with Levi as soon as this all is over. Nate told me that he asked a lot of their mutual friends, and he got the full story after meeting up with them when they were concerned about why he was asking. To make a very long story short, Levi was extremely abusive with Lana. When they met, she did not want to date anyone, but he really pushed her on it. She eventually agreed, and the first couple months were full on him love-bombing her. After that though, he started manipulating her a lot. He isolated her from all of her friends. He would make her drink with him even though she never had before. If she didn't, he'd make fun of her with his friends. That led to eventually him making her drop him off at other girls' houses and leaving bars with other women. She would express her discomfort with this, but he would just scream at her for being insecure. He did cheat on her, and she eventually learned that, but he made her feel terrible for thinking it. I do not know details, as she's never shared it from what I know, but they believe he SA'd her. The only proof of this is that after a night of drinking last year, they were all talking about cheating exes. Lana brought up Levi and someone mentioned he knew Levi and always thought he was a nice guy. Lana responded by laughing and saying, "Nice guys don't SA women." The guy asked if she was sure, and she only said, "I'm absolutely 1000% sure, don't ask how." And changed the topic. Their friends are almost positive there was some amount of physical on top of the emotional abuse, but they can't prove that. They only noticed bruises on her frequently. Nate then told me that the reason they broke up was because he stole her PS4 or something, $200 from her parents, blocked her on Instagram, screamed at her for accusing him of that, even though he admits he did block her, then sent her screenshots of his group of friends, including her best friend at the time who introduced them, in a group chat they had created to make fun of her. Nate actually cried a bit at this point. He also was told that Lana drunkenly admitted to another friend that the reason she asked Nate to not stop his friendship was because she was terrified of Levi. I guess someone else stopped talking to him, and he called her in an absolute rage saying it was her fault. She didn't want it to happen again, so she avoided anyone not talking to him. Nate and I discussed how we don't know this man at all. I thought I knew him better than the back of my hand, but he is truly just a wolf in sheepskin. I'm terrified about what could happen to me, and why has it taken me 4 years to learn any of this? Was the whole relationship a lie? Do I leave? We have a puppy and an apartment together. I don't know what to do because I feel so lost and clueless on who even I am dating. I can't talk to anyone about it in fear of Levi figuring out what I know. Nate is scared for my safety and offered to let me stay with him. I don't want to clue Levi in on this and have him blame Lana again though. Nate and I also talked about informing Lana about next steps. We ran out of time this trip, but we plan on meeting up again when Levi is out of town in a few days for work. Hopefully nothing escalates until then, and Lana stays safe and unaware of this monster trying to get back into her life. I'm scared and I feel like an idiot. My husband sided with my former high school bullies and publicly humiliated me. My husband, 32 male, and I, 29 female, flew out to our hometown and spent Thanksgiving with family. Everything went well. Friday, we decided to spend the day going out in our hometown and checking out new things since it's been years since our last visit. We stopped by a quick noodle restaurant for lunch. Guess who's eating in there? A few of the female bullies that ruined my life in high school. Brief backstory: my husband was friends with most of the people in school, including the popular crowd that bullied me. He knew they bullied people, but didn't know the extent of their bullying. I was an outcast with a small circle of fellow outcast friends. My husband and I didn't know each other back then. The bullying was so bad, they had me jumped and resulted in me having broken bones, that my parents pulled me out for homeschooling. Never got to go to homecoming, never got to go to prom, etc. I'm still in therapy and physical therapy for the things they did to me. My husband was also friends with some of my fellow friends, but we never formally met until years later. He moved away shortly after high school and I moved back to our state right before meeting my husband. Think invisible string theory. He wanted to talk to them immediately. I told him I was uncomfortable going over to them and reminded him what they did to me, but he insisted and pressured me to go. They squealed when they saw him, leapt out of their chairs, and jumped all over him. I awkwardly waved and said hi to them. They immediately changed their attitude and were not happy to see me. They asked, "Why are you here and why are you following our friend?" I asked my husband if he could take over the conversation, but he refused, so I told them that my husband and I are here for Thanksgiving weekend. They made a snide remark, "Oh, well, where is he? Is he the dirty stinky fat man with the receding hairline over there? Even he wouldn't marry you. You're probably making him up." I didn't want to entertain this, so I asked my husband if we could go. He refused and said I was being rude. These girls were insulting me right in front of him and he had zero interest in defending me. He's never done this before. So I told him I'm going to order for us and walked away. They made nasty comments about me as I was leaving. I got our drinks and asked him, yet again, if we could find a table elsewhere. The girl said, "Why do you keep stalking him? He doesn't want anything to do with you. Go away, you stupid little troll." So I told him I'm getting my food to go because I don't want to spend another minute here. He said to the girls, "Oh. Guess what she said about you," as we walked in. Then he proceeds to tell them about me, reminding him about the heinous things they did to me. They of course denied they did any of that, then swore I did those things to them. He said I was vile to torment his friends back in high school. I said I can't believe that you're acting like this, so I guess I'll see you later. Luckily the counterperson witnessed everything that just happened and boxed up my food for me, along with utensils and napkins. I thanked her, gave her a tip, and headed for the exit. As I approached the exit, he blocks me from leaving. He immediately said, "Give me the ring back." I asked if he's serious. He asked yet again, "Give me the ring back now." I said no. He asked again and I asked him to let me leave. These girls are standing around laughing like hyenas at this point. A few people from the restaurant helped me get out of the restaurant. They returned to their table and I ran out in tears. I called my sister and begged her to pick me up. I walked as far as I could so they wouldn't attempt to bully me again. After telling her about what happened, we decided to get all of my belongings out of our hotel room and have me stay at her place and change my flight to an earlier time. My husband made 0 attempts to contact me since the restaurant incident. My sister did some digging on Facebook and she saw the bullies tagging my husband in many photos. They were all over him in every photo, along with others from our old high school. Of course they went to the bar that the alumni always hang out and work at. I felt sick to my stomach looking at all of those photos. My husband knocked on my sister's door in the middle of the night after I finally fell asleep after crying myself to sleep. He asked if he could speak to me and that he messed up and needs to fix things. She sent him away. I woke up to missed calls and texts. I answered his call, asking him to give me space for the remainder of the trip and please respect my wishes. He said that I'm being dramatic and need to just listen to him. I got home on Tuesday. I made the impulsive decision to take temporary residence in our guest room an hour before he got home and somehow got most of my clothes, makeup and hair products, toiletries, etc. So I have 0 reason to go back into the master bedroom. He got home late last night. I wasn't supposed to go back to work until next week, but I make my own schedule, so I decided to return today. I was hoping to avoid him this morning, but we crossed paths on my way out the door. He tried to hug me, but I rejected his advances and ran out the door. He yelled, "You can't avoid this forever," as I was heading to my car. He is right, I can't keep avoiding him forever. Him and I have never had any issues before the incident at the noodle restaurant. I don't know what to do. Our marriage has been perfect before this. No red flags at all. He was the only person I felt safe and secure with before the incident. The trust is completely gone and I no longer feel safe and secure with him. I don't think he will hurt me or anything, but I cannot trust him to protect me and stand by me. What should I do? How would you handle this? Therapy? Divorce? Break? I don't know. I still love him so much, but I don't know if I should trust my current judgment. I really need guidance on how to navigate this. I fooled my cheating boyfriend into getting matching tattoos, then I ditched him right after he got it done. This happened 5 years ago when I was 19. He was 22 at the time and the second boyfriend I've ever had. I was head over heels in love with him, but looking back he was just a good pickup artist and knew how to push my buttons, especially considering he was older and a lot more experienced than me. We had been together for almost a year when a random girl from our university DM'd me one day, "Hey, you don't know me and I am sorry to tell you this, but I've been sleeping with your boyfriend for 5 months now." He always told me he is single, but I recently got suspicious and went through his phone. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the point. I was completely heartbroken and felt like such an idiot. Now it all made sense why half of the time he was super busy and could not see me. What I was more upset about was the fact that he blatantly lied to me throughout the relationship, swearing that he is monogamous and expected the same from me, and I was. After my emotions had more or less settled, after a couple of days I invited that girl, let's call her Caitlin, to a coffee shop. She agreed to meet and tell me everything she knows. Long story short, Caitlin saw on his own that he was dirty texting many girls, and from quickly scrolling through most of the chats, it was clear that he is screwing at least 4, me included. Caitlin said that she and the other 2 girls were just friends with benefits, but he did not mention, at least to her, that he has a girlfriend and he is cheating. Caitlin did not care about the other girls as they were treated the same way, just friends with benefits, but I was in a serious relationship with him and had no idea on what's going on. After discovering this I got extremely angry. I felt so played and manipulated. The grown-up thing to do would have been to confront him, tell him he's a jerk and just leave, but I was 19 and could not just leave it like that. I wanted to mess with his mind too. Actually, I'm not the one who came up with the matching tattoo idea, it was my best friend after I shared this story and told her I'm pissed off and want revenge. He already had plenty of tattoos on his body, so getting another one would not be something too crazy, so I thought I might actually pull this off. Next time I saw my boyfriend I pretended like nothing had happened and acted as I'm in love with him even more. I started dropping seeds in his mind, mentioning that I'm really thinking about getting my first tattoo, maybe even his name, etc., which he loved by the way. His ego was getting more than he could handle. Long story short, in about 2 weeks we ended up going to a tattoo parlor. My best friend secretly waited nearby in her car and I told her to pick me up as soon as she sees me step outside of the shop. My plan was this. Go there, act a bit scared and do a good old switcheroo, play with his ego to put him on the spot. I framed it something along the lines of I really want to do it, but I'm a scared little girl. Oh my gosh, we're actually doing this, is it going to hurt? I need a big, strong man to show me first, etc. And guess what? It worked like a charm. Did not take too long for him to go first and get my name tattooed on the side of his ribs, with "I'm a big, strong, cool guy" smirk on his face. As soon as the tattoo was finished, I just casually left the parlor saying, "I know you've been cheating on me, dum-dum." He was about to run after me, but the tattoo artist stopped him because he needed to pay. The timing was just perfect. My friend parks in front of the shop. I jump in the car, and as we are leaving, my boyfriend runs out and sees us driving off with my middle finger in the car window. I blocked him, gave him zero closure, ignored all of his attempts to reach out. Was this too ruthless? Maybe. Childish? 100%. Do I regret it? Nope. He probably got the tattoo covered with something else as soon as he could, but just knowing that I made him do that made me feel warm and fuzzy inside.